Hi, I'm Matt with Oregon Fly Fishing Blog and caddisflyshop.com. We're here today to talk about bucktailing, trolling bucktail Nelson style baitfish flies behind a boat in saltwater for silver coho salmon. What I'm starting out with today is an 811S size 2 forged saltwater hook. It's got a good eye, it's a strong hook, and it breaks clean. So we're going to break this hook off and use a trailer hook. What I've done here is put on the thread for my trailer hook. I've wrapped it forward. It's doubled over, so it forms a loop. I'm pulling it out. And you got a thread base, and you bring it forward, and then you fold it back to make it hard to pull out. You don't want this thread pulling out. So this doubling over keeps it secure.
A little Zap-A-Gap?
A little Zap-A-Gap, exactly, would be very good here.
Good.
And what I would do, actually, if I was in production mode, is I would do a bunch of these. I'd set up the trailer, Zap-A-Gap it, and let it sit, and do a bunch of these if I was in production mode. So, we've got our trailing hook here set up, and the first thing we want to do on this kind of fly is create the tail. We've got some nice white bucktail. For silver salmon, pink salmon, an ocean-going salmon, I like pink and white as my color. So I'm going to take a little bit of bucktail here. Here we go. I'm going to thin it out a little bit. Get kind of the loose fibers out. I'm going to take a look and pick out any stray fibers. So you've got, a small chunk here. And this is going to form kind of the basis of your tail. And you want it to go about to the end of your trailing hook loop and tie it in on the top. So there's your first layer. And what we're going to do here is trim this off. And then we're going to add a little bit of flash. For these silver salmon of the ocean, there are a few different programs you can do. What I really like right now is this crystal flash. We've got UV blue and herringback. Both of these are just killer. They light up in the water. They're a deep purplish color, and they just give off a ton of light at dawn. I mean, they're just unreal. Other options are Flashaboo Mirage. If you haven't gotten your hands on this stuff, it's killer. It's holographic, changes colors in the water. It's definitely more interesting than standard Flashaboo. It's excellent. Third flash choice, glow-in-the-dark Flashaboo. This is pink. You hit this with your camera before you put it in the water at sunup. Take a couple of flash shots of it, put it down, glows in the dark. Killer on salmon. So on this one, we're going to do some crystal flash, UV crystal. I've got, a handful of strands of a purplish UV crystal flash. It doesn't give a lot of color, but just when it lights up in daylight, it is bright purple. So I'm going to take this back. And what I like to do on just about everything I can is double it over. So I've got, a few strands going back, and then I take the following strands and double them back. This is just improving your fly's durability. Every time you can double over something like this, it's improving durability of the fly. So we've got a little bit of flash in there, a little bit of white, cerise and white. Those are the colors I like. So what we're going to do next is we're going to add a little bit of white to the bottom. And if you've got a vise that can do this, turn your fly over. And bring your thread a little bit forward here. Another same size as the tail, a small, sparse piece. These flies should not be very bushy. They should be kind of thin and just kind of suggest a baitfish. They really do like a sparse fly. So there's another similar size piece, and we're going to tie this closer to the front of the hook shank here. Strip this back. Stray hairs that we may have missed. There we go. We're going to cut this bad boy off. Wrap our thread.
Good.
And then we've got a little bit of cerise. Not a lot, just enough to really pop on the fly. We're going to lay this on the top of the fly, over top of the whole thing. We want them long.
So are you building that head a little bit?
A little bit. I'm building up a little bit of a head in the front. And that's where I'm going to put my eyes. And the other thing you can do is put a little kind of red ruby throat on there with some hackle feather or things like that. If that is kind of your thinking. Our salmonid specialist Rob Russell would tell you that that is key. He loves a little bit of bleeding gills in his baitfish pattern, so he would like that. So there you've got the basic shape of it. Yeah. So what we're going to do is, once we have the baitfish body basically wrapped up, we're going to whip finish it and hit it with a little Zap-A-Gap. And the Zap-A-Gap is going to do two purposes. It's going to seal this head and knot down, and it's going to help these eyes stick a little bit better. So, Zap-A-Gap your head. And then you're going to put on your eyes. Cinch them back close to where the bucktail starts. Line them up. They don't have to be perfect because you're going to hit them with epoxy in a second. So, if you like epoxy, go for it. I prefer liquid fusion. It's flexible, clear, dries in about 5 minutes. It's fantastic. These look pretty even to me, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it with a little bit. You want to fill the gap between the eyes to really give it a good seal. And this is going to just cure in between the eyes.
I think you can control that a lot better than epoxy, you know.
You can't control this better than epoxy. It dries in about an hour, and it's literally just unstoppable. Don't get it in your hook eyes, though. It's impossible to get out of your hook eyes. Alright, so we've got our sparsely tied baitfish here. Now we need to cut off the front hook and apply the trailer now that the epoxy's set. What you need to do is kind of push the materials back a little ways. Find it as close down to the materials as you can get on the shank without cutting them. Get some sharp pincing pliers and squeeze. There it goes.
Wear your glasses.
Yeah, wear safety glasses. That's a good point. And now you've got your basic baitfish pattern here. Time to add the trailing hook. I like an octopus hook from Gamakatsu. It sets right. It's a size 1 or size 2 really work well. I've got red ones here. And what you're going to do is thread your trailing line material through the eye of the hook. And then bring it through the loop, the curve of the hook through the loop. And there you go. There is basically your finished Nelson baitfish fly.